everybody, it's virtual YouTuber Kizuna Ai. Not. Step 1. So we're not gonna put the wig on yet. First we'll have to do our foundation, but before we do our foundation, I recommend you guys to put in your contact lenses. Putting the contact lenses in after the foundation is just less messier and more practical. Put them in safely. I take my thumb and pull down the lower lid, then the upper lid with my pointy finger. We haven't applied any makeup yet, but our eyes already look so much bigger. Just wait how big they will get after we apply the makeup. So if you decide to do the cosplay, you don't necessarily need circle lenses, because I know it's really hard to get them outside of Japan. So if you do your makeup right, just normal contact lenses, green ones like Kizuna Ai's eyes, then yeah, that will work. Especially with the makeup that I'm going to show you right now. So because Kizuna is basically a 3D character, she doesn't have any pores. So what do we inferior humans do? The trick is primer. The primer basically creates something like a filter on your skin that covers up all the pores, little openings, and smoothens each and every pore out. It's a little bit like real life Photoshop for your skin. So take about a primer about the size of a pea. If you don't like too much makeup on your face, you could just apply the primer on places where your pores are very obvious. But I mean, in case of cosplay, you really want the effect to kick in. It's not like with everyday makeup. I just go for 100%. So you see now for recording, I have all this lightening in front of me, but still my skin looks absolutely poreless. Well, much more poreless than without the primer. So yeah, this is good stuff. Next I'm going to use my foundation, which I don't only use for cosplay but every day. We don't want to ruin this nice primer effect, so for foundation let's apply a thin layer. I would say, well, it depends on the foundation you use, but either way try to apply the smallest amount possible. So just first take out only a tiny squeeze of your foundation and try to spread it as wide as possible across your face. And if you have a large foundation brush like this here, about a little bit more than an inch, then this should be much easier done than said. Just try to spread this small amount of foundation as wide as possible so we can preserve the effect of the primer. As you can see, I'm starting here on the corner of my nose and under my eye, and then go . If you're like me and you have very thin skin around your eyes, you will most likely have some reddish or blue shades. So apply a little bit of foundation there as well. Voila! Now in some cases you might still be able to see some bluish tones on your skin or even some redness around your eyes or nose. But in that case, don't try to force on more foundation. That will just make the makeup really heavy. So I recommend you get a color corrector for all those reddish tones on your skin. It will cancel out all the warm tones like red. In these colorations of cooler shades, so blue or purple, I recommend to use a warm color like pink. Make sure to apply the color corrector only on the spots where you want to correct the color. Here under my eyes I have to be especially careful. So the next step would be concealer. Now you see I've used this one up quite a bit, but thanks to the color corrector we've just used, we only need a small amount of concealer. I'm applying it right under my waterline to really just cover up what needs to be covered up. And remember, the more dense your concealer is, the smaller the area you apply it on, because you can still expand the area by blending with your fingers or a sponge. So if you feel like that wasn't enough coverage, you can always apply a second layer. Just keep working and covering up by building small layer on layer. To fix our foundation, I will use translucent powder. Translucent powder will help us protect the original color of our face. So I'm gonna put a little bit of translucent powder on my powder brush. Because today we only want to apply a thin layer, I use a powder brush instead of the pad, which is better to apply firm, thick layers. But today we really just need a thin layer to really just cover up our foundation. Don't forget your jawline and the area under your chin. And our foundation is done, which means we can go on to put on our wig. So first I'm gonna put on my wig cap. I have one that has both sides open. I sort of even out my hair and then tie a knot. But now instead of putting on the wig, we are actually gonna do our eyes. So like most manga anime characters, they tend to have thin eyebrows. So just take your everyday concealer, or maybe even something thicker than your everyday concealer. It's already quite dense and obviously not liquid. So if possible, try to use a similar one that I have for your eyebrows. Then just paint over your eyebrows. It's that easy. Move in the opposite growth direction, and then again outwards. Now this is how much concealer I use to cover them up, but I mean, the amount of concealer you use really depends on the thickness of your hair, color, so just kind of go with the flow. Of course, blend away any excessive concealer. Thanks to the thin and natural foundation we applied before, it doesn't really, affect it. Concealer does not actually affect our makeup, so don't worry about that. Gosh, I look creepy. Now this one, just cover up with a powder pad. Apply thick makeup, or I want really good coverage. Kizuna Ai has long and thin eyebrows. However, I'm not going to make my eyebrows as thin as her. Proportionally, if I would apply thin eyebrows to my human face, it will make a different impression than on a drawing. That's why even though it's a cosplay, especially when it comes to makeup, you have to keep proportions in mind. Now that we've got the wig on, let's proceed to the actual makeup. For the eye makeup, I'm going to use this palette here with peach, beige, and dark brown to create a base on my eyelid. Then I'll add some shadow on the curvature on the middle of my eye. Then I take a thin brush like this and apply dark brown color. And line the space under my pupil with a black pencil. See how this technique made my eyes a lot rounder? Then with the same black pencil, start lining your eye line. Start in the middle and make your line thicker as you go outwards. Now with the beige color and the small eyeshadow brush, I'm going to create a shadow right here in the crease, just right next to the thickest part of the eyeline. Eyelashes you should definitely use. I recommend girly and natural ones. Put some eyelash glue on your hands and slide the lashes through the glue. Now take any mascara, it doesn't have to be a special one, to blend your natural lashes with the fake ones together. For the lips, I'm going to take my concealer again and cover them up to make them look a bit smaller. Add some orange lip tint on the space where you didn't put concealer. Apply a pink blush here right under my eye using just one finger. An orange blush on a much wider area and extend the area where the pink blush is. Here you can get natural looking blushing cheeks. Of course, even with all that makeup and this costume, we just can't get close enough to Kizuna Ai's cuteness, but it's closer than before. Well, anyway, today, as you can see, I decided to challenge Kizuna Ai and beat her in cuteness. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye bye boo.